All right, we're going to start diving into food and some of the issues that we can have with our food choices. This week we're going to talk about antibiotic resistance. Much of this antibiotic resistance is coming from the antibiotic use in the food industry by the big food companies. And 35,000 Americans die annually from antibiotic resistant infections, and 4.95 million people die globally from antibiotic resistant infections. So this is a big deal and something we need to take really serious. So we need to know the source of our food, we need to know whether it was fed antibiotics or hormones, and we need to know that it's safe for us to consume and for our children and grandchildren to consume. So between 2017 and 2022, antibiotic use for animals went up 12%. In 2020, 69% of all the U.S. antibiotics sold went to the farming industry for growth promotion. In 2022, antibiotic use went up 4.3% from 2021, and 13.78 million pounds of antibiotic was used. I know it sounds crazy, that number sounds crazy to me, but it was over 13 million pounds of antibiotics were used for growth promotion in these animals. So in 2006, the EU banned the use of these antibiotics in animals for growth promotion, and every part of the EU complied except the UK, and some parts of the EU that complied saw a 7.1% decrease in antibiotic resistant deaths, infections and deaths in the next 3 years, whereas the UK saw the infections rise and the deaths rise by 2.2% over those 3 years. So we want to take that seriously here in the United States, and that's why we always recommend that you deal with a local farmer that you can look in the eye and they'll tell you the truth of whether they're using these antibiotics or not. And there's a lot of farmers who are not. They're doing grass-fed, grass-finished, no hormones, no antibiotics, which would be our ultimate source of animal products if we can find that. So this is a really serious issue, and we need to take it really serious, and we need to source our food, and this includes our beef, our chicken, our pork, our eggs. All these things need to come from animals that weren't fed antibiotics, because these antibiotics, not only are they destroying the guts of these animals, but then they get into our system. The animals have eaten that antibiotics, and remember, we are what we eat. We are what we ate also. So they're taking in these antibiotics, then we're eating them, so we're taking in these antibiotics, and that changes our gut flora. And when we change our gut flora, now we can create these different resistant antibiotic infections or bacterias, viruses and parasites. And so then the typical drugs that we would use don't work anymore. And so now we have these infections that are like superbugs that the antibiotics don't work for. So we have to have, the drug companies are developing stronger and stronger antibiotics, which eventually lead to more and more resistance as we continue to have to use them too often. And it's not just the animal products. The medical industry is very guilty also of giving antibiotics for a lot of cases where they're not warranted, such as viruses and ear infections are typically viral, and there's a lot of different conditions. But because people expect antibiotics, especially parents can expect antibiotics, they're often prescribed even though they can create these resistant bugs. So let's be very conscious and try to find locally sourced food, locally sourced without the use of antibiotics and hormones. Will make a huge difference in our body's ability to be healthy, to fight infections. Because remember this, every time that we take an antibiotic, we take in an antibiotic, and I don't mean we have to go to the pharmacy and get a prescription for an antibiotic. We're taking it in if we're eating these types of foods we're talking about. Every time we take in an antibiotic, the studies say that we permanently negatively change. So we're always harming our gut for the rest of our life every time we do this. So let's do things that are naturally good for us by eating foods that don't contain these antibiotics and by taking care of our immune system so that we don't often need, or hopefully never need, antibiotics. So some of the things that we can do to make sure that we take care of ourselves and don't need antibiotics is to make sure that we're using the foundational 4 supplements every day. Make sure we're drinking Kangen water every day. Make sure our vitamin D is optimized. Make sure that our hormones are optimized. Make sure we get good sleep. So remember, probiotics and vitamin D play a major role in our immune system. 80% of our immune system is in the gut, so let's have a good, healthy gut by using the OptiU probiotics, by taking the digestive enzyme, which makes our gut, takes some of the workload off our gut and makes our gut work more efficiently. Let's drink Kangen water, which enhances the gut. Dr. Hiromi Shinya, the leading GI doctor in the world, is a huge proponent of using Kangen water for the gut health. So let's keep the gut healthy where 80% is. And then one of the biggest modulators of our immune system is vitamin D. Remember, we don't want normal levels, not only of vitamin D, but of anything that we're measuring in America. We don't want normal hormone levels. We don't want normal vitamin levels. We want optimal levels. We don't want normal insulin levels. We don't want normal sugar levels. We want optimal levels of all these blood markers that we're talking about. So keep your vitamin D level between 60 and 100, preferably 80 to 100 is where we want our vitamin D to stay all the time. We want to take our probiotics at least every night at bedtime, if not one in the morning and one at bedtime. We want to make sure that we get good quality sleep, and we want to make sure that we're exercising on a daily basis, trying to see the sun on a daily basis, and of course taking all our nutritional supplements so that every cell in our body has ample vitamins and minerals to do the things that it can do. The body is an amazing healing, we are amazing healing bodies that we're in, that God gave us. We just need to give the body what it needs in order to take care of itself. So please check the source of your foods, and let's make sure that we avoid being one of these people that have antibiotic resistant infections.